They called it transformation, but behind the cameras, the biggest losers, contestants say they were broken physically and emotionally, and for some, permanently. This show promised hope, but delivered humiliation. Today, we're going to talk about that. I'm
New body, new mind. Congratulations, it's time to shine. Pounds go down, confidence rise. Real talking, no filters, no lies. GLP-1 journey in review. Learn something new. Come join us for great interviews. You. Way down, hope up. We show the glow when life gets tough.
I'm Lori. This is GLP-1 Journey in Review. I have a script out here, but I know I'm going to go off it because there's a lot wrong with this show. When the show first launched in 2004, it captivated audience. Executive producers J.D. Roth and David Broom packaged Spring as entertainment. Contestants believed that they were signing up for their health, but what they entered was a machine built on shame. Every weigh-in became a spectacle. Contestants stood there half naked before the nation, their numbers broadcast as the audience cheered and groaned. Producers demanded tears, demanded breakdowns, demanded shame. This wasn't wellness. This was humiliation as prime time television. 8-hour workout days, diets as low as 800 calories, contestants collapsing on treadmills, vomiting into buckets, tearing muscles, passing out. Some were told to keep going, even if the medical staff warned them otherwise. Pain was a side effect. It wasn't the product. When the cameras stopped, the trauma lingered. Studies showed most contestants regained the weight, often more than that, but the physical scars were nothing compared to the emotional ones. Depression, anxiety, eating disorders for many. The biggest losers didn't make a new life. It marked the beginning of a struggle that still continues. The Biggest Loser sold itself as inspiration, but the real legacy is trauma. This is not just a story of a TV show. This is the story of people who believed in hope and were broken by the scale. First of all, I want to say that I don't really like reality shows. I don't really watch them. The only type of reality shows that I tend to watch are entertaining ones like singing, dancing, and so forth. I don't believe in any of these that make contestants do these dangerous things, only let them eat peanut butter and jelly for weeks on end, just all sorts of struggling. There's just so much wrong with these. They had a medical doctor that was advising them, Dr. H, and he's a very well-respected doctor. He did not go along with a lot of this stuff. It was the trainers that overrode them. Who in their right mind would think that a trainer should override a doctor as far as medical advice? You had Jillian and you had Bob, both just as bad. Bob tries to appear like he's not quite as bad, but trust me, he is. Why would you humiliate these people? They came to the show wanting to change their life. We all know how that feels being on GLP-1 medications that you want to transform your life. Now, this medication that we're on, it's transforming a lot of people's life. Doing it this way, eating under 800 calories, telling them not to drink water for a day or two before their weigh-ins, literally working them till they passed out, threw up. That's just totally insane. Like, even the doctor was against that. You have to understand some of this reality shows. They started right around when the TV strike was, because they don't cost a lot of money. They really don't have stars except for the people that are the announcers or the hosts, whatever you want to call them. And for some bizarre reason, they're categorized as news, which means they could pay their people very little. There's no residuals, so these shows could play and play and play for years, and nobody will make any money. And they're very cheap to put on. Yes, $250,000 for the prize, but then they pay people basically nothing. So it was pretty cheap. Then you have your camera staff, your editors, which is normal. You don't have to get the real big names because it's a reality show. Now, this show worked on shame and fat shame, which like made me sick when I watched it. And I'm going to tell you a story. Let me see if I can find this on my phone as I'm telling you the story. So I apologize for me looking down, but fat shaming is everywhere. And go. I don't know if you could see this where it says fat, which other here isn't the best picture, but let's see if I can point that out. Fat people were supposed to spiral. Now I do CTs for a living, and this is just sitting there at our center for when we do hearts. Now, let me tell you, an X-ray, obviously, if you have a big person, you have to use a little bit more X-ray. There's different ways to get the X-ray. Now, again, I pointed out that this is fat shaming. They're like, that's it's we have to use more on fat people. So then we had a very muscular guy walk in and goes, "Oh no, you have to use more." Fat technique, I said. Man, they're not really fat. So you are fat shaming. It happens everywhere. But the amount of this that happened on the show, I had a very hard time watching it. I don't know about you. Again, this is why I don't really like reality shows. And my God, the fact that they had to sit there and build stuff with cakes and cookies and they couldn't use their hands and they had to transfer it in their mouth. Who comes up with this sick, sadistic shit? I just want to know. Really, there's something wrong with these people that come up with this, and that society actually watches this, and it became a number one show, and it was huge. That they even made jokes about it on other shows that how NBC was the biggest loser network. Really, people? What's wrong with us for watching? And what's wrong with these trainers for putting the they had absolutely no experience with overweight people. So they were treating them like these TV models and stuff that they were doing, which I'm sure they didn't even put through half of that crap. But shame on them. I would be worried if I were them on lawsuits, although I'm sure that in these people's contract, which they force them to sign almost without reading, it says that they cannot sue. And I hear that Jillian Michaels is suing the show. Why is she suing the show? Because they didn't use her caffeine pills. Dr. H didn't want people limit caffeine. He did not want these caffeine pills, but they used them anyway because apparently the trainers know better than the medical doctors. And what was Jillian's take out of all of this bad press, out of how terrible she looked, what she put people through is I'm suing you because you didn't use my pills, which she claims that she didn't make people take anyhow. There's just so much wrong with this show. I don't know where to start. There's so much wrong with this fat shaming. I think as a society, we need to put an end to this. If there's shows like this, I can't do anything if people make them. The only thing I could do is not watch them. The only reason I even watched this documentary was so that I could do this video, which I'm not even sure I'm going to publish because it was just so disturbing. I don't know what to say. It, it's absolutely insane. I'm out.